there, it's Kevin with the Rogue Deck Builder here with this week's episode of the Market Monday. So instead of focusing solely on the Magic the Gathering market, I'm going to go a little more meta and talk about the economy as a whole, or the market as a whole, and I think it explains a lot of what is going on into the Magic the Gathering market. So first of all, we noticed that collectibles just went through the roof in 2021. Well, that had to do with the stimulus money and people being cooped up, and that was just the double whammy of people being bored and having excess money they never had before to then spend on collectibles. And it wasn't just Magic the Gathering, it wasn't just Pokemon, it wasn't collectible card games, it was everything that we consider kind of tertiary goods. I mean, we have the primary and secondary goods like food and housing and clothing and rent and things that are musts, and all those seem to be taken care of. And then the excess money that goes towards tertiary goods like the collectibles and things that you aren't necessarily needs, their wants, their desires, that was able to just go through the roof. And now what we've seen is, with all that money being spent, we're under a weird cycle in the economy to where the money is all tied up in other things, like the banks, the credit cards, the governments have recouped a lot of this money, and now we're seeing less money as a whole in the market. And then couple that with the fact that inflation across the board went up, and economists are trying to decide if this is actually a true inflation or if it's just one of those things that was a temporary inflation that just upped the prices of all goods. And it wasn't, of course, collectibles were the first thing to really go skyrocketing through the roof, but then the primary goods caught up. So things like gas, oil, then of course that affects your food, that affects a bunch of other stuff that's having problems with the supply. And now the dollars are all competing for those goods, and the price of those have shot up, and it seems that there hasn't been any money left over for the tertiary goods. And I think that is what we're seeing mostly with the kind of the crash or the stagnation for the collectibles market right now. And couple that with the fact too that we did have supply issues, and those supply issues seem to be for the most part taken care of. Both Pokemon, Yu-Gi-Oh, and Magic the Gathering were having trouble with printings in 2021. They had a hard time keeping up with the demand, so they adjusted and they were able to print more and create more products to try to fulfill that demand. And now with the kind of people backing off and needing to focus on the primary goods again, I think it just gives that double whammy effect of where collectibles have been going down. So I talked about this in other Market Monday videos, and we have been going through a very stagnant market, especially going into the holiday season. So oftentimes the holiday season can be one or two things. I've seen it happen in the past where collectibles go, sometimes you see the kind of the rock bottom of things like singles, card prices, because people are cashing out to try to get money to buy gifts, and then sealed market doing well. And I've also seen bull markets across the board, like 2018 Christmas season, 2017 Christmas season, where we saw Magic the Gathering just go through the roof, and things like singles, reserve list, all that actually went up during the Christmas season, which it hasn't been historically what we usually see. Historically, what we see with Magic the Gathering, where singles prices are the hottest during the winter. So kind of January through March is usually Magic the Gathering is hottest. So we do seem to be in a very weird market with Magic right now. I know that distributors are just loaded with products. I think that has mainly to do with this graph. So I stole this off my Discord. This is the amount of cards that have been printed this year compared to other years. You can see a stark increase from even last year, and the year before that was a major jump from the year before that, and it's been going up steadily since 2010. So this is all well when there is actually consumers to buy these things. But with the amount of products, if you can just look at this article from the Daily MTG that has been coming out, there are just so many products that are coming out within the next few months, and then 2022, they have really ramped it up, and I highly suggest you do go and read some of these articles about what is coming out, because it is just loaded with products. Look at all of these products that they have announced for 2022. And so things like Jumpstart, they're just, instead of like replacing it with another product, like say something special coming out, they're just doing it again and again. And speaking of things like Commander Legends and Jumpstart, that is also, or Strixhaven, that's also a warning sign that we have with Magic the Gathering, that they will continue to print to try to satisfy that demand. There have been some markets where Magic the Gathering has been more conservative with these things, and they do these kind of not really one and dones, but they put it out. They put out until that initial demand is satisfied, and then they're like, okay, well, we'll just move on to another product. Well, spoiler alert, Jumpstart, Commander Legends, Strixhaven. I bring up Strixhaven because there was an alarmist, another YouTube channel, that had everyone go out and buy Strixhaven draft boosters like it was the end of the world. And lo and behold, what did Wizards of the Coast do? They reprinted the Strixhaven draft boosters, and now the price is shot down to the ground. And so I think that that's another kind of whammy that we can add on to the MG market, is these these speculators that it's the fear of missing out. We all saw it happen during the rotation right before the pandemic. Things like War of the Spark, Amonkhet, Hour of Devastation, Ixalan, all those had double up, triple ups during the pandemic or the early parts of the lockdowns and whatnot. And I think a lot of people are looking at that and being like, man, I could have bought Amonkhet boxes for $85 easily up to that point. And they're seeing that with like, oh, maybe this is my time. I got to get into Strixhaven. It's out of stock. It's out of stock. And those rumor mills start circulating where, one person posts and say, hey, look, no distributor can sell you Strixhaven draft boosters. But I think the policy of Wizard of the Coast, coupled with the fact that they seem to have fixed a lot of their printing issues to where they're able to put out a lot more product. Yes, we saw some hiccups with Innistrad, Crimson Vow, where we still can't get set boosters, and we've had some delays and stuff. But once they get those those breaks, the product seems to be rolling in. And now we are just buried in Jumpstart and Commander Legends. Both of those had high prices a couple months ago, and now it seems to be a big supply is coming back in. And it's not just that. There are many other things, products like Throne of Eldraine and Ikoria, Core 2021. All of those have come back down in price. A lot of the collector's edition boosters, like the Strixhaven collector's boosters, they've also come back down. And of all of the sets, the drafts that are currently in circulation have gone back down to this distributor price, this MSRP price. And so that's kind of where the sealed market has headed. Singles market has been taking a hit for quite some time now. I always like to look at Commander staples, something like a doubling season that hasn't seen a recent reprint. It had double masters. But whenever you see this, like, so here we go. Here we have this big boom with the Magic Gathering market, and everything's just cooled down. And this price trajectory is very similar for anything Commander staple. And it's funny because it looks like Modern has been the more hot set, or newer cards coming out even for Standard have been better buys, have had better price increases than the kind of the tried, tested, and true Commander. I think it really has to do with just the amount of Commander products that have come out in the last year, and people just don't have as much money. They have a lot of decks they've been kind of tweaking with, oh, I'm going to buy every set has had a Commander deck, and there's been a lot less of the. You'd think that actually increased demand for like kind of an evergreen card like Doubling Season that goes in. Basically, every Commander deck that comes out is going to want. You can probably justify throwing a Doubling Season in if it's green. So you'd think that the demand would continue to go up. But what we're seeing is this crunch that people are like, I just can't splurge on something like this card. And a lot of the tried, tested, and true staples have gone down. And one of the other things with the singles market that has been very alarming too is this. The reprints have just gone out of control. Yes, the amount of new cards that have entered the market has been crazy, but with each Commander set that has been coming out, there have been reprints and reprints and reprints, and put that on top of the set boosters with the list and all these other products that can come out, and it's just kind of spelled disaster with the amount of cards that are circulating. Like I said, it's not all doom and gloom. There have been plenty of cards that have been able to hit good prices. Things like the Meat Hook Massacre is a good one where it hits both Standard and Commander. And being able to have a $40 Mythic in the era of Collector's Edition boosters kind of shows that it could be one of two things. The market is still hot for current products, or B, just there's a lack of people opening up the current products. And I think it's kind of a combination of the two. I think that people aren't opening up as much as they used to, especially in the form of like draft boosters. And that has allowed Mythics and even Uncommons and Rares to hit prices that we haven't seen for quite some time. So there's always this is what I like to say about markets. Any investor can also say this. It doesn't really matter if it's a bull market. Of course, we'd approve of a bull market because during a bull market, everyone makes money. But you can always find niches in stagnant markets and in bear markets to where there will be outliers. There will be outliers that don't follow the trends of the overall market. And I think that's what I'm going to be trying to identifying in the next few weeks, is to try to where to kind of place money during this weird time period. Is it in current Standard? Is it just flipping Standard? Is that the right route to go? Because it does seem that a lot of these cards are doing quite well. We also have like Modern that you can go in these obscure cards. Like you can always see like these cards that have never seen reprints are also starting to hit kind of their opposite of critical mass, where the demand is just outstrips the supply, and now, there's no more Phyrexian Crusaders out there, there's no more Hunted Horrors. Maybe there's some sort of combo that was spoiled with some of these sets or cards that come out. But these Droxel Reaver, that's another good one, where it was, I was noticing this card, where it's just been no one cared, and then boom, it went up. Yes, there were some spirit synergies with this card, but it was really, this probably didn't have the greatest supply to begin with, but it also didn't have the greatest demand, and so one of those actually shifted where the demand actually did go up. then this card just goes through the roof. So those are little niches you can look at to try to park money. This is more of a gamble than what it used to be with the tried, tested, and true. Invest in this Commander stable, it's going to go up. Or what I used to do back in like 2014, 2015 during the hot standard and modern eras. It's like, man, this card just got a reprint. Oh, it's at its bottom. Oh, throw all the money at this. It's going to go back up in 2 years. And then, rinse and repeat. Continue to move money from one card to the next. And voila, you have a good strategy to kind of bankroll your hobby. So yeah, a lot of factors going on with it where you can find little niches, and it's always, that's the one thing that I like to tell people is to stay flexible with the market. So back to crypto. So I want to talk about crypto really fast because it does seem to be that crypto and Magic the Gathering align pretty well. So when crypto is hot, Magic is hot. And one thing with crypto is it has seen in the last month, it's been pretty stagnant. If you look at the kind of the 1 month, the crypto has been, a lot of them actually went down in late October. We had like a boom in mid-October, and then October through November, it's been either pretty stagnant or a lot of them gone down. We are starting to see a recover in a lot of the cryptos, especially the main ones like Bitcoin and Ethereum. These have started to go back up, which makes me think that now we are getting over kind of that capital crunch or that cash crunch where consumers are starting to get more of the cash back in. There isn't this weighted problem with like everything having to go to primary goods, where we are seeing consumers be able to get excess money to start splurging on things like crypto investments and Magic the Gathering and other collectibles. And we should see recovery, I would say, in the early parts of 2022 for a lot of the things that are starting to become more rare in the supply thing. So one of the things I talked about in the last Market Monday is I've never seen so many products that are still available at distributor price. Things like the pre-release kits, that you can still order pre-release kits from all the way back from like Kaldheim, which typically that's not something that was available through distributors. Those would get eaten up. Those aren't things that get replaced. And by this point, you can't get them. Not saying that they would necessarily be more expensive on places like eBay or TC Player, just meaning the availability, the scarcity of them would be something you could not get from distributors because, that's just something that's been sold, wasn't replaced, and that's just the way it goes. So, yeah, that's another kind of concerning thing is the amount of products that do exist in the distribution, which also will probably lead to distributors dumping some products, which will lead to some good opportunities to actually pick up those. So if you're kind of a fan of that sort of information, I highly suggest you come over to the Rogue Market. That's typically where I give my, hey, there's this deal on this. I think this might be a good deal. I do it in my top 10 products each month that I think are good buys. Definitely come and check that out. I will be giving more attention. It's going to be a New Year's resolution. I know I sound like a broken record with this thing. I'm going to focus more on my channels. I'm going to focus more on channels. It is something I want to get back to doing because I'm starting to miss that creative itch for doing so. Other than that, we're seeing pretty stagnated prices too in the EVs of sets. A lot of these have also come down in price. We had a point where, I guess Ixalan Arrivals are still doing good. Dominaria bounced back up, but some of these like the Ravnica Legions guilds, they've come back down to where they should be. A lot of it has to do with the list and reprints getting marked back in. But all in all, that would be the way to describe kind of the MG market right now. It's kind of a mixed bag of, I would say, stagnation. I wouldn't really call it really bearable. It's kind of in between, and it's all, you have to be a lot more creative on where to park the money and what to invest in. So. If you're interested, again, I will give some picks over at the Rogue Market, and that's where we'll get my little tidbits. I think Market Monday, I'm just going to be talking about kind of the overall mood or the feel of the market to see where we're going forward. Anyway, this is still concerning, though. I wish that Magic the Gathering would either A, they can continue to release a bunch of products, but I think they have to go back to the kind of the Pokemon, late 2021 Pokemon, where it's just like, hey, we're gonna release new products, we're gonna continue to bust out new products, but not in the highest quantities. I know that's kind of a fine line for Wizards of the Coast to walk, because then speculators just eat it all up, and then the average consumer can't get it, and it leads to prices that go out through the roof, and no one's happy. But at the same point, if you just create too many products and print too many of that product, it does eventually lead just to an overload of products, and then your partners, your distributors, all those things they can't move it, can't make profit on it, and then it's just not a lose-lose situation for everyone. So again, like I said, not the juiciest topic for the Market Monday today. I thought I'd better get a video out before it's still Monday, and be looking forward to some more videos being pumped out. I've got a backlog of projects and videos that I want to get done on this channel with the Baroos, and some more some more posting here on the Rogue Deck Builder channel. As always, I appreciate everyone for sticking around. This has been Kevin with the Rogue Deck Builder. Thanks for watching.